This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Bixon. And then we're going to have all this. No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia. The man to my left, to right, whatever it is Mike North. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
Good, but you don't start the Rifleman without the theme song, so how the heck could you not? It's beautiful, Els. I'm doing great. How are you, my friend? You got your bowl stuff on? For the second consecutive week, everybody, Aldo has decided to not wear bear garb. Something that he's done 24 hours and 7 days a week for the first couple of years that I've known him. So, but you do have the Bears Bar Room. We do know you got to go to @Bears Bar Room for the Twitter, @North, the North, NORTH, number 2, NORTH, of course, Win Daily right there on your screen. Some of the greatest cappers. We got info and everything else. These people, they're very good, very good. They're going to do more, hopefully, with us here at Bears Bar Room. We got a couple projects Aldo and I are coming up with. He's a tough sell. We got things we got to get right. I mean, we're jotting down stuff. We're throwing darts. We're doing whatever we can to get But I will tell you this. I've never been happier. I got a puppy dog who is basically made me cancel my subscription to Bally's. I don't need a workout anymore. I will tell you, this is the best. And anybody that has a puppy knows this. But we had some great challenges with this dog, and he's turning into a gem after a week. But he was raised in a foster home, Lotto. And for people that don't know, his name is Lotto. I'm thinking of his middle name, some sort of for business reasons. I'm thinking of calling him after Walter Payton. But I wouldn't call him Payton. I would call him Walter. I'd go the other way. So his name would then be, in business senses, Walter Lotto North. But when he's out running around chasing birds that he'll never catch, it's going to be Lotto Walter North. So it just depends where we're at. Now, before we went on the air, Aldo, BB came in, the lovely BB, I don't even know how to hook this thing up. Aldo and her do all the hooking and everything. Aldo, BB goes, we were both out of the room, and BB goes, "Can you hear the dog?" And all of a sudden, Aldo hears, right.
How cute.
So we found the reason I want to name his middle name Walter is we found there's a miniature hill outside of my house. You've been over to the house,
yeah.
And he's running it now.
Cool.
Oh yeah, me and him are running it. The other day I slipped and fell, and he was concerned. He ran over me and left a paw print on my forehead. But he's a gas. We're having fun. I'm putting out videos of him. I'm playing tug of war where he won't give up. It's just crazy. He loves stuffed animals, so it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So the name Lotto, where did that come from? Licorice
Lucky Lotto. I had to come up with, and a male thing. He's a male. I tried them all. Larry, nah. Larry don't work. Ronnie, Louis, nah. Hey, Louis, get over here. You call him your buddy.
Yeah, right.
And then I started thinking, if you come to our house, you win the lotto. And yesterday, I took a picture of him. He says, "I'd like to have a narrative if you could." And I said, "What do you want to talk about?" I just want to say, it will be 2 more weeks, and I'll have my parents trained. Thank you, Lotto. So
where'd you find the dog?
At the Huntley Animal Shelter. And what's crazy? He was raised in a foster home, and they don't out here, they don't, when they're real little puppies, they don't take them out because of allergies, diseases, immune system. So they went. I didn't know this. He was raised as a foster child, they wouldn't. So they went on a pee-pee pad in the house. I never heard of that. So then we get him, and now we broke him of it, but it took us about we were up 16, 17 hours a day, just chasing him all over because it looked like he was going into the corner and everything else to go. I'm sure people have had this experience. Our other two dogs came out of shelters that were actually where they were there from the beginning. I mean, I remember, Licorice had the bowl against the bars, rattling them. Anybody, somebody, and then Lucky went, I got a meeting in 2 hours. Could you get me out of here? So the dogs are great. They're all different personalities. So, you got Doodles.
Oh, yeah. I got the Doodle bug, and I've had dogs almost all my life. Than Assy Project says, Men in Black. Oops, wait. Mike is in royal blue. Wearing Chicago Bears color is what Mike is doing.
Yeah, I'm wearing Notre Dame of Niles. I want to congratulate my buddy Kevin Clancy, the East Suburban Catholic Coach of the Year. It was a pleasure to be an assistant with him when he was an assistant with us under Tom Les. And I got to be honest, he took that program to even another level. So congratulations to him. Excellent. Big honor. A lot of guys have won that award, like Gene Pignator from St. Joe's back in the day. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bennett Academy. I mean, all sorts of great teams out there. So congratulations to Kevin.
We got Laurel Golden in the chat room. He is the co-host of Bulls 101. So why don't we start with some... Yeah, excellent show. Those guys know what they're talking about.
Sure do.
Why don't we start talking about some basketball? You had probably one of the most courageous bets this weekend. Tell us the story. Tell us who was playing, who you chose, and all the negativity you got when you announced that you were going for this team, and then what happened after.
Well, first of all, I'll give you one that was I went 1-3 on Monday. Mm-hmm. Yesterday I go 2-1 at Win Daily. They were both hockey games. I lost with the Wizards, but I took Gonzaga against Gonzaga. Who played them again? I can't even remember now because they're gone, and I never want to think about them again. I'll play Gonzaga. I mean, I'm drawing a blank here. I'll look it up. Sound like a doofus, for God's sake.
Gonzaga, LMU. No, that's not. That's from
February. No, that's the land. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well,
hold on a second. Oklahoma.
Lon Kruger. You know how old I'm getting? I was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas in 1972, 73, and 70. 1972, late. Mm-hmm. All of 1973 and 74. Kansas. I used to go to the Kansas State games because I lived across the street. Lon Kruger was our point guard for the Kansas State Wildcats.
Wow.
I saw him play like 10 games that year. He was great. All-American. Great basketball player. Great coach. I mean, Illinois, if they still had him, that would be, Brad Underwood, good. Yeah. But if Lon Kruger was still with us, that would be good too. Does a good job. Anyway, I see the spread. I see the total, 156.5. Mm-hmm. I go, wait a minute. They averaged 94 alone. Okay, why is it that? Then I see the total, 84.5. I go, they average 92.
Right.
So I take the under on both after I do all my homework. What happens then is, I got it. There's like 30 seconds left. They can't get it. And then Oklahoma down 10, down 12, down 4. They're fouling with time running out. And I have the under. Mm-hmm. If I'm not going to be mean to the kid. He's playing for, it's an Oklahoma kid. But when you're down 12, just get out of there.
Yeah.
Leave. Right. There's 10 seconds left. They're down by 14, 15. He fouls the guy makes 2 free throws. I lose both ends.
Oh, no.
So then I go 1-3. That's fine. 2 bad beats. That's the only way they can beat me. You know that, Aldo.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a great week here on Bears Barroom. Mm-hmm. So, of which I'm like, I think 9-6-1 here. So we're doing great. And I came back last night. That's what the great ones do. They bounce back. Jagger, has he ever had a sore throat? Sure, it's okay. Sinatra, he introduced the band 3 times and sang My Way twice, and everybody went, yeah. I can't have a losing night. Mike North's not allowed to have a losing night, but Babe Ruth can strike out 4 times in one game. How does that make any sense? I'm talking about superstars of their genre.
That's right. Babe Ruth.
Clark Gable had bad movies. Mike North once in a while get some bad beats or something like that, but I bounced back the next day. Jack Nicholson, he made Missouri Breaks. Then he came back and he made Hoffa. I mean, things happen. Oh, was that horrible?
Oh, that was bad. Him and Brando.
The other night to see if maybe I was too young to see it at the time. I shut it off faster this time. I don't need Marlon Brando and his lazy ass.
I know, he's so
always
lazy.
The greatest actor of all time. No, he was a lazy ass. He's not even close to Nero, Pacino, Hackman. I'll name them off. I can name them off. I could drop them like peaches on a tree. Marlon Brando, overrated New York guy who, a product of Libertyville, Illinois. But my dad never came home and said, hey, kids, come on. There's a Marlon Brando movie at the Granada Theater. No, it was John Wayne, Dean Martin. I was big with, I never told you this. You know what one of my favorite actors is?
Who?
James Coburn.
Oh, In Like Flint.
Oh.
Great stuff.
I loved James Bond when I was a kid. But when Flint came out and he was an American guy, and James Coburn was a serious dude who actually knew karate and actually worked out with Bruce Lee.
Right.
I mean, it was like real. Right. You know, he'd kick somebody's ass and then go to kick somebody else's ass. Bond would kick somebody's ass, and next thing you know, there's some girl crawling all over him. Great stuff.
Hey, Dave says LeBron misses free throws all the time in the clutch, Mike. It's cool. And I got to remind everybody that Babe Ruth led the majors in career strikeouts. He struck out more times than anybody else and had the home run record for decades.
Let me tell you something. This is the best. I know a guy that has lost a few $100,000 in his portfolio over the last year. Okay? Restaurant owner, big time guy. Okay. But he takes my picks. He's more concerned about the C note that he puts like on the Wizards and they lose it. And I got to hear about it than he is about what he's losing over there. Half these people don't know. They follow. This is great because this is what scrutiny is about. If you're good, you deserve to be scrutinized. Yeah. But if a man like me wins you money every single week and you have one bad day, and it wasn't bad, there was one guy, you know, I said to him, he says, hey, Mike, today, he said to me, give me a chance. Let me show you what I can do. I'm not going to embarrass the guy. I said, okay. I said, I'll take your picks, okay? And I'll take your picks today. He gives me 3 picks. Okay. I lose them all.
All of them.
All of them. And he put them on direct message. So yesterday, I take the Wizards. Plus 2.5 to 3. Goes up to 3. I don't know what happened to Russell Westbrook. I don't know what happened to Bradley Beal. Scott Brooks is on thin ice over there. They weren't even in the game. Tom Thibodeau has turned Julius Randle into a potential MVP of the league, and he's turned the Knicks into a winner. What a surprise. We had him here. I mean, everybody talks about pace and Nagy even. But the disaster of the Chicago Bulls for 17 years was pretty tough.
Oh. And
you didn't hear any criticism of John Paxson from the mainstream media compared to what Ryan Pace goes through. And Ryan Pace been to the playoffs twice in 4 years. So I'm just telling you, I've seen it all. There's bias even with media about certain sports and other things now. So you take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going to tell you something right now. The Chicago Bulls, to me, that game I had with San Antonio last week, I'm losing by 24. And they lose the game. When you're up by over 20 at halftime, you got to win that game. Yeah. That's Billy Donovan. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about the players. That's a Billy Donovan loss. That was a Jim Boylan type game, if everybody remembers.
Oh, yes. It's hard to forget.
So the Bulls, I don't know what they're going to. Yeah, I just think, today we were talking before we came on here. What are we going to talk about? I go, there's plenty of things. The NCAAs, the Porter Moser thing. Hey, Porter Moser. You don't even let the guy enjoy what he's doing. They already got him leaving town, the media here. It's just pathetic, because they never been in a great situation, a lot of these people.
Yeah, right.
I was in a great situation. I've been in great situations. You've been in great situations. Some of these guys, they've been working the same job for 25 years, and they don't know what a great situation is, some of them. It's nice they got a job, but guys making I think he's making $700,000-800,000. Okay?
Right.
He's going to get more this year. But he's still, listen to this, the highest paid employee at Loyola by a long shot. Okay?
Isn't that amazing? That is amazing. Now, for those who don't know, Porter Moser is the head coach of the Loyola Ramblers, and they upset Illinois this past weekend. Illinois, of course, was the #1 seed, and Mike North put his money on.
Illinois was one in Loyola. My apologies.
Yeah, and Mike correctly predicted that upset. Great job, Mike.
Yeah, I took them. They're in my. I took them. I said, look, I'm from the neighborhood. I'm not going against them. I made them the NCAA champs on my bracket. I only took them.
Nice.
I had them beating Illinois. I think they can win it all. I think they can win it all. They got in. Not one guy in that team averages over 9 points a game. Think about that. And look at their record. That's team ball.
Yeah.
Look at their points. Look them up and see what Krutwig is averaging and what these are. You don't even know them because they play team ball. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's a phenomenon. They they have the #1 defense in the NCAA. I mean, one of them, they give up 55 points a game, Aldo.
Amazing. Now, Cameron Krutwig does average 15 points a game, but after that, nobody averages more than 8.
Really? I thought I had. So he averages 15. That was was that just for the tournament, though?
That's for the season. That's for the entire season.
Okay, my bad. My mistake. But nobody else does.
Nobody else does.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, 8 points for Lucas Williamson, and then it's lower than that.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable.
I never thought when I used to hang out over there, go to the Granada Theater and go here, go there. And I never thought, Little King Submarines, Huey's, the bar right down there, it's all gone now. They took the theater down. It was a show place, a show palace, like grand old theater. But now they got high buildings around there. They own most of the lakefront now and the Sheridan Road, Devon. So I don't want to hear this nonsense. They can't pay Porter Moser. Okay,
that's right.
I don't want to hear about it. And then my good friend Brian Hanley says, "Well, Marquette pays their coaches good, and they're Jesuits."
Yeah.
So Loyola's got cheaper Jesuits than Marquette. I never heard of anything in my life. Brian told me they spent $15 million on their program last year. I think the Gentile Center cost $5 million to build. I don't know. So the Jesuits in Loyola apparently are really, really cheap, and they're big land barons. They own Winthrop. I used to deliver papers down there. It was all transients.
Yeah.
And now I went down there. It's all dormitories all the way down. They bought up Granville Avenue. There used to be 6-7 bars there.
Wow.
They bought it all up by the Elks. They own everything. So I don't want to hear they don't have money to pay Porter Moser. Because if they say that, I would volunteer to be his agent and walk in. And I'll go nose to nose with Sister Jean or anybody else. By the way, I want to just say, Sister Jean, she's starting to get
You too, huh?
I do want to say that the one thing I admire about her is how she came out and said it's not about me. No, I'm lying. As she said, listen, she compliments the boys and stuff. But she's got more exposure than John Wooden when he was at UCLA. My God. And now I'm hooked on her. We went from cowboys on horseback, Native Americans dancing in gymnasium floors, the San Diego chicken, to a 100-year-old nun in a wheelchair with a balloon. It's awesome. Nation now. God bless Sister Jean.
Oh, that is hilarious. Mike, before we get off the topic of basketball, the NBA trading deadline is tomorrow on Thursday. We're recording this live. And those of you who listen on the podcast, if you listen on iTunes, please leave us a favorable review. And if you watch on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let people know that Mike North.
I'd like to know this too, if I can, Aldo, because I did a video with, I don't know if this has happened to a lot of guys, but I didn't know. So I'm doing a video. If you watch the one with Lotto, and I'm playing with the toy with him, and he's attacking me. He's attacking the toy. The dog's talking to him. And as I'm looking down, I see a thinning in the back of my hair. Now, guys will pretend that doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
So I'm like this. I'm looking at the video. And I go. So now I'm in the bathroom with the handheld mirror and I got the angle mirror.
Yeah,
I got to be honest. As I look at myself now, I just want to know from the listeners, what kind of hair day am I having? Because it looks pretty good. I worked hard on it. And I didn't see a bald spot, but I did last night in that video.
You look excellent.
Well, you know what? There's an upside to it. If I do go bald, I could maybe get one of them billboards with Urlacher and Sandberg.
That's right.
Restore. I read about Restore. Listen to this. As soon as I saw the bald spot, and I'm not a vain guy, you know me. I am what I am. I got the double chin. I try to keep it away. Got the eyebrows going up like this, where I look like Nicholson in The Shining. Here's Mikey. I see positive. I'm looking up Restore, and I go, this could be my next big thing.
There you go. Tons of money to be made if you're going bald. That's for sure, Mike.
Gotta do it. I feel good though, and now and everybody's doing well, and the Bulls. Well, we talk about them. Here's what I would say if I'm the Bulls: the trading deadline, Kobe, White, and Carter. See what you can get for them.
Really?
Why wait around? They're not going to be important. And for us to win something, I don't think we can win with them. So I think they could start on some other teams.
Oh, well, probably, yeah. I mean,
Orlando.
I'm not sure they should be starting for the Bulls. That's the problem.
Are we really going to stay patient, though? Sometimes, haven't we always been accused of staying with people too long? Sometimes we do that. So I just see Carter, and then I see Jokic. They play the same position. Now, he's a special guy, but how come we can compare Mitch to Mahomes, but we can't compare Carter to Joker? There's no comparison. He carried him around. I mean, enough is enough.
Yep.
So, and I know the kid tries, so we'll see what happens. And Harp is right. The Bulls need a point guard that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Zach LaVine can't do it all.
Right. And the big trade rumor is Lauri Markkanen. There's at least 3 or 4 teams reportedly interested in this guy. And I'm with you, Mike. Every time I watch,
he was traded.
No, every time I watch him, I'm just so frustrated by his play. It's just I've given up on Lauri Markkanen. I'm sorry.
He's a guy that you can't depend on all the time, but he's a guy that can help a team, another team. I think we can get a chip for him. The other guys, I don't know, but this kid can play. He's just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, it's just the inconsistency is frustrating.
It's absolutely frustrating. So, I think the Bulls have improved. But Swirsky dances like they're winning the NBA championship.
I've been seeing those dances.
You know what's good about Chuck's dances? He gets to rest every 4 or 5 days. After one dance, they don't win for 3-4 days, and he can get his legs back.
That's right. The other day, he did like a 90-second dance.
One the other day, he was like this. And then I looked and I said they're 17 and 20 or something. I'm going, well, he'll get a couple days off now. He'll get his legs back.
That's right. He won't dance again for another week at least.
I love him.
So NBA trade rumors. Let's see if the Bulls are in the market. It is tomorrow, about 24 hours from the time of the recording of this show.
What could you get for Zach LaVine?
Yeah, what can you get for
you want to make a trade? You trade your top guy, and then you get 3-4 pieces, or you get draft picks.
No, I
wouldn't do it. So he's going to.
I would build around them. Absolutely.
Right. Yep. You're right. But if they traded him, I mean, Gretzky got traded or Gretzky left. I mean, so it would be like a blockbuster. But you're going to build around Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I agree with Ben here. He says at least we have a coach that can coach.
I agree with Ben too. Thank you, Ben. But you should still not lose a couple games that you're up by 23, 24 at halftime.
Yep.
Even if you tell them to wait till there's 2 seconds on the shot clock every time you bring the ball down, It sounds almost impossible to blow a lead like that. But the NBA doesn't play defense anymore, and it's too fast. It is. They play. And by the way, to anybody out there, I'll be happy to debate this with you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that thinks the NBA product is even close to what the NCAA product, what we watched in March Madness and all the upsets and all the guys that were scholarship, people don't understand when you're overlooked or you're not given a scholarship offer from somebody and you end up playing that team, you want to kill that team. Mm-hmm. You were disrespected. And that's what you see. And that's why you're seeing so many upsets with the mid-majors. Because there's not much. True. It's a level field now. I mean, come on. I mean, Ohio State goes down. I'm tired of hearing about Ohio State. I'm tired of hearing about their quarterbacks, and I'm tired of hearing about their basketball program. Mm-hmm. Neither one pans out.
You're right about that.
Who's the best quarterback that ever played at Ohio State? Mike Tomczak, as far as pro stuff goes, or Art Schlichter, he couldn't even gamble.
Well, Mike, since trading Jimmy Butler, the Bulls are 23 and 120 in games against teams that finished or are at 500 or above.
I think you're right. I think you keep Zach and you try to trade the other pieces and try to get, because you see teams, and this is like I just talked about Loyola. You can do that in the pros too. You can do that. I mean, seriously, Toronto. When they lost Kawhi Leonard, what was lost here is Leonard went to the Clippers and lost, and Toronto was just as good because they played a team concept of ball. Mm-hmm. This year they're having some issues, but there's nothing you can do. It's a year-to-year thing in the NBA. And then Draymond Green, I want to talk about him for a minute.
Okay.
He's cost his team over the years championships, like he did when he got suspended in that game and they won. Yeah. They lost, I mean. He lost a bet for me this year, and he lost for his team, and Steve Kerr said it was unacceptable when he got 2 technicals at the end of the game.
I remember that, yeah.
But to come out and be just ignorant, totally ignorant of history, and then to say you're the best defensive player in the history of the game. I thought it was like what do they call it? Like a shadow account, burner account?
Yeah, burner.
I've fallen for a couple of those. Hey, it's here what Draymond Green said. No, it's a guy named Joe. He's in his attic in Pittsburgh. And it says not Draymond Green. You know what I mean? I go, okay. And now I double check. I have never. I've heard a lot of ridiculous statements, like Nick Foles was good. It's going to be great. Or that we haven't gotten to them yet. I better keep.
No, we will though.
Oh, don't worry. Regardless of our lack of garb, everything. But I mean, to say something when Bill Russell is alive,
yes,
that is ignorant.
Oh my gosh!
You don't. What is it? Bill Russell, the statue you're going to tear down? Mm-hmm. Are you people out of your blessed minds? Mm-hmm. You got a living, breathing, great man. That's he's the patriarch of the league. Mm-hmm. And you come out and you don't even have as many first team defenses, for instance, defensive team honors as Tony Allen did. And are you I guess the wackiness of Draymond Green stops becoming cute. I mean,
it does.
Pippen was a better defensive player, 8-time first team, 8-time. And I'm not a Scottie Pippen fan, but I'm not going to be ignorant like Draymond Green.
Right.
Scottie Pippen would eat Draymond Green alive.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then Wilt Chamberlain. The guy averaged 25 rebounds a game. That's defense. That's offense. He averaged 50 points a game. And Bill Russell could never get his way against Chamberlain one-on-one. But Dennis Rodman, you couldn't hold his jockstrap. I know the man. Hung out with the man. He didn't have a submarine named after him like you do. But Rodman, my kudos to him go to when Pippen got hurt in 97. And people were worried. Oh, now that elevates Rodman up to the number 2 shot next to Jordan. And then a funny thing happened. Jordan went up to Rodman at practice and said, I need you, man. Michael Jordan telling Dennis Rodman, I need you. Kukoc moves to third. Rodman then took Pippen's supposedly tough slot at number 2. The Bulls went 19-1. Yep. So Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan. Oh, I almost forgot about Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Man, 23. You don't follow me. I'm like a little bitch. Please follow me. No, I know. Michael Jordan. I want everybody to soak this in. Was the greatest player offensively who ever lived for his size and everything else, and just for his effect, and a nine-time in record first team defensive. Draymond Green in a game up to 15 would have 6 turnovers, and Jordan might beat him 15-5.
Yep.
I mean, so it was nonsensical, but I think it has to be said because it's a disrespect to the other guys in the league. I mean, Tim Duncan, and I can name you a million guys better than Draymond.
Let me name 2 guys for you that I'm sure you could speak for hours on. These 2 guys, the Bulls guard tandem of Jerry Sloan and Norm Van Leer. Those 2 guys individually, but as a duo, were the best defensive duo that are around.
Draymond Green, if he plays for the Atlanta Hawks, you never hear from him.
That's right.
You never hear from him. You never hear from him. You don't get the whiting of the teeth commercial. You don't get the submarine thing. You don't go shooting your mouth off that you're this. When Klay Thompson, who I don't think I think he's a good defensive player. He made first team, with them 1 year. And I said, okay. But I mean, you can't play with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and even shoot your mouth off about anything.
Right.
You can't. It's just out of his mind. It just was an insensitive thing to me with Bill Russell life period.
Yep. I'm totally with
Michael doesn't even get involved though. Michael just laughs at Draymond Green.
Oh yeah. he's too cool for that.
If Jordan came in tomorrow and said change the name of Subway to Michael Jordan Submarines, they would do it.
Subway would love that.
Oh, it won't cost you anything. But I got one caveat: the Draymond Green sub is gone.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we have to talk about the Chicago Bears, of course. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you, Mike, is, I got a compliment the other day. Somebody reached out and says, the Barroom Network is great for so many different reasons. But one of the things that I like a lot is that you guys talk about the history of players, which a lot of fans, younger fans nowadays, have no idea what happened yesteryears with the
fans nowadays don't even know how to win. They don't want to win. They'd rather have stats.
Right.
They'd rather have gaudy stats. My best, like with Mitch, to just interrupt you for a second, 29 guy listed stats to me today. I said, well, he went 29-21 and made the playoffs 2 out of 4 years. I haven't heard from the guy. I said basically it's all about with people now, fantasy players and everything, how gaudy the stats are. I don't care if he's the 27th ranked quarterback. Did we win or lose?
Yeah, right.
I mean, seriously. I mean, the ridiculousness of it. And I told him. And thank God we didn't go after Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, we've been asked in the chat room for our thoughts on Deshaun Watson.
Well, I already gave them this morning. I think that basically, if Ryan Pace and I heard Bruce Wolf say this too, if thank God Ryan Pace didn't meet with him, and I disagree with that. We don't know what's happened yet, but I do know this: there's a difference, and this is from what I'm hearing, Alex. It's a serious deal, man. It's serious, man.
A lot of women.
I'm hearing a lot of women, and I'm hearing it's serious. And the one his lawyer that pointed out the one that's false. Doesn't that sound weird? Oh, the other ones are probably too. But we do know one's false. It was about blackmail. That's fine. What about the other 15? Or whatever, 12? And, people can say, see, what's on did you guys see what's on the report? Not sexual harassment. Not anything else. Sexual predator. Mm-hmm. That's what he's charged with.
Right.
And unbelievable. Now, I also pointed out today, and by the way, it's very, very disturbing how there's not a whole lot of talk about this, but people who are afraid will sometimes skirt issues. But isn't it funny that he was happy and he got that $39 million deal, and he was the greatest guy and everything else, Aldo. And he said, "Thank you. I'm a lifelong Texan." Then he says in early January, he says, "I want out," because they didn't interview Eric Bieniemy. They didn't consult with me. I'm not playing here no more. That was on January 17th.
Right.
My opinion on this deal, and we don't know. He might not have done anything. They might have all gotten together and collaborated and said, "Let's all try to get some money out of this." Or he might actually be doing this, and I hear there's Instagram and I hear there's text messages. Okay? And none of that stuff, that's disturbing. But I got to ask you, if the lady that they're talking about with the blackmail was December 28th. So she comes out and says something. 17 days later, "I'm not happy in Houston. I want to get out of here." I think he had an inkling of all this. That stuff was going to be leaked. I think that some people are trying to maybe blackmail him, but I think there's other stuff that may be legit. But I do know this. Thank God the Bears didn't go after him, and we beat him 36-7. But if you don't want a character guy like Mitch Trubisky, go after him.
Harp says still think
that we get a 7th-round pick for him now.
Yeah, right. Still, Harp says still think the Texans did Watson dirty. They probably knew about Watson's proclivity.
So what were they going to do? They know about a lot of. There's teams all over the league. The NBA's got lawyers on retainer. So did all the leagues. The NHL, for guys, they have paternity suits and everything else. If you have an employee in trouble and he works at a TV station or a radio station or he's a cop or anything else, you're not going to go to the press and say, "Hey, we got a guy that's got a problem here." They're going to try to. Organizations are going to help your guy if that's true. Right. So we'll see what happens, and we'll find out. Because I'm not saying nay or yay. I have no dog in this fight, but we had a quarterback that beat him by 30. Maybe his mind wasn't totally on the game, and he wanted to get out of town when the reports started coming in.
Well, there's no doubt that there's a lot of legal activity going to happen soon, and we'll let the wheels of justice hopefully do its job and do it well. So.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. Here's somebody was in the chat room was saying you got to build your team through the draft, and this is what I came up with. Jim Fink's first round picks. Jim Finks, for those who don't know, was the executive vice president and general manager of the Chicago Bears for about a decade, and these were his first round picks: Walter Payton, Dennis Lick, Ted Albrecht, Dan Hampton and Al Harris, Otis Wilson, Keith Van Horn, Jim McMahon, Jimbo Covert. Those were in consecutive years, Mike. Those were his first round picks in consecutive years. Every one of those a winner, a multiple Hall of Famers, multiple Hall of Fame future candidates. In my opinion, this was outstanding. And then on top of that, 19 of the 22 Chicago Bears starters in Super Bowl 20 were drafted by Jim Finks. That's the way to build a winner, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, and that's why I laugh at guys like Gil Brandt and everybody else that has something to say. Jim Finks was probably the greatest general manager who's ever lived off of what he did.
Yeah.
They brought in Ditka. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
They had to sign off with Hallis on that. I think Hallis was going to get his way. But Jim Finks, Dan Jiggets always used to tell me, Dan said his esteem for Jim Finks was on another level. He treated the guys good, knew how to draft, and for 19 of 22 guys to be homegrown. See, we get a homegrown guy like Mitch, we take him and we just throw him out. If I guarantee you this, they would not, after 3.5 years, have given up. If Nagy would have done to Trubisky, okay, with Finks as the GM, there would have been a brawl. I'm telling you right now. But he wouldn't have hired Nagy. See, you have the family interfering now. So the family, Hallis, stay out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
If there could have, look, they talk about Jerry Jones getting in the way. If George Hallis wanted to, he could have upset the apple cart, told Finks, I don't want this guy, I want that guy. Like the McCaskies did when they said, we don't want this guy, we want Stan Thomas. Like Michael McCaskey. Ditka told me, I think the one thing that burned Ditka's ass after Thomas got in trouble down the line and everything was the day they were going to draft Mike Allstott or somebody, I forget, and they took Stan Thomas because McCaskey told them to.
Right.
Yeah, that was pitiful. Jim Finks is great. And Ted Albrecht was great. Dennis Lick. I used to see Dennis Lick in the neighborhood. He lived over at Malibu East.
Right.
On Sheridan Road. How disturbing is that? Where I know
That's right. That is disturbing.
I mean, seriously. Yeah, he lives on Sheridan Road. How about Roosevelt Taylor back in 1963? I think he lived on Elston Avenue. I mean, crazy,
Well, and a lot of people are asking, when did Jim Finks retire? Well, in a quick history lesson is Finks came to the Chicago Bears from the Minnesota Vikings, where he had a lot of success building those Bud Grant Super Bowl teams. And then came to the Bears and started this rebuilding program. After he had all of the success drafting players, he left to become the GM of the New Orleans Saints, who had never had a winning season in their history. And by season 2 of the Jim Finks era, they had a winning season. So that's a quick history on Jim Finks and what a stupendous general manager he was, and is now in the Hall of Fame for his role as an executive in pro football.
Pretty amazing. Smooth as silk, Jimmy Finks. I mean, no doubt about it. A salute to him, and probably a top 5 general manager of all time in football. I liked. And had he stayed there and had things worked out, I mean, he'd be gone by now. But Ditka would have been coach for another 10 years, and I'll tell you why. He's a former Steeler, Jim Finks. The Steelers have had 3 coaches in like the last 50 years. Yeah. The last thing he was going to do after Ditka led him to a Super Bowl, and after Ditka went 10-6 the year before the bad year in '92, was get rid of him after a down year. Because Ditka always knew he could bounce back. But see, Muggs Hallenstein, Jim Finks, gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Muggs Hallenstein was the worst thing that ever happened to this franchise.
It really was bad, yes. I was at the game when it was announced that morning that he had passed away, and I was a kid, and I didn't get the ramifications. I was saddened that the son died before the father.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah, and then I learned later.
He was 54. He's like a young guy. I mean, he's a young guy. He would have won some football championships for us. I really believe that. So we'll see what happens, but nobody's got faith in these guys.
The Factor has a question for you. He says, how do you find a general manager like Jim Finks? What are the characteristics and qualifications that made him a good hire?
Everybody tries to find guys like him. There's only a couple, I mean, you look at guys and I think what you look at is the ownership. A GM can only do so much based on ownership. Now, I'll give you an example. When the San Francisco 49ers were at their peak, there was a guy named Carmen Policy that was their general manager. I met Eddie DiBartolo Jr. at the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, and his sister too, who became a York, who ended up after Eddie DiBartolo Jr. got ousted from the league because of, whatever. I don't even know what it was, a casino project. I don't understand now. He got ousted for being involved in the casino. Now NFL players run the ball through the casino going, bet on me. I don't understand it. But he let Carmen Policy do whatever he wanted without fear of interference. We just talked about Halas doing that. McCaskies don't let you do that. Ryan Pace has been interfered with because Ted Phillips, who knows nothing about talent, has interfered in hiring of coaches. That's why how you lose. You hire the general manager to do the job. And I'll give Ryan Pace credit. Ted Phillips wants the head guy, which is the dumbest thing you could want. I'd rather have Ted Phillips have a voice in what players we should get, but then not have the final voice. But to have a big voice in hiring of coaches has been their downfall, and Virginia McCaskey has allowed that to happen. And so has George.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree. I agree with that. Ben Alexander says, what do you all think about poaching from the Steelers front office for our next general manager? They've had a great success there. The Steelers' continued success. And one of the things that the Chicago Bears have said is that they consult with the Steelers a lot, which I don't understand why you would consult with another NFL team on hires and stuff.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. That's like me in the old days. You're a proud franchise, but that's like me in the old days. Consulting with Bill Simonson on how to do my job. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I mean, or anybody else that's your competition back in the day. Anybody. Hey, that's seriously. Think about radio. Think about Lynn Bramer. I got to consult with, the guy from The Loop, or they may be friends, but, it's a competitive business. And I think that the Bear fans have stopped being competitive. They let what Mitch has done with a winning record, but not the gaudy stats of Mahomes, which nobody has, cloud their vision. They're going to, now we got this. And I haven't heard too many people say they like this deal. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. God, I almost forgot.
Breaking news.
The Bears are the only team in the NFL that pays their backup quarterback more than they pay their starter. Wait a minute. I thought of something new. Ready? They pay. I think I did it on last week's show too. So, kids at home, please, if you're going to do this, wear a helmet. I have plenty of experience. The Bears, once again, are paying their backup quarterback more than their starting quarterback. Ding, 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 ding. Oh my God. Can you believe that? And then, by the way, the Bears, they sign Andy Dalton. I haven't done this in a while. The Bears pay Andy Dalton. Excuse me. They pay Andy Dalton, right?
Yes.
And Mitch Trubisky gets 2.5 to go to Buffalo to be the second best quarterback in their division. While Andy Dalton, the backup or the starter, gets $8 more million than Mitch did. Ready? Boom. Ding! What the hell's the matter with you? Unbelievable. They're just so lost. They're adrift.
That is hilarious.
I watched the Titanic last night. You know who they are? They're the people that were sliding down to the other end of the boat. Yeah. That's the Bear management. And the Bear management is basically the fiddle players. It's been nice working with you. We're going to drown. That's okay. At least we did it our way. Come on.
Chris Watts wants to know, so what would you start at if you were to change the Bears leadership? Would you sell the team, replace Ted Phillips? Where would you start and revamp?
Ted Phillips is gone tomorrow. Nagy's gone tomorrow. I talk to Pace. I tell him, listen, I want to know what Nagy did. I want to know if he interfered. I want to know if they played favorites against you on certain things like the quarterback situation. But you did do some good with Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack. You made some great signings. I didn't like what happened with the offense. I'd listen to him, but I'd probably look for another GM too. I'd clean house up there. George McKay, everybody, they're gone. I buy it, you're gone. All of them. There's nobody worth keeping. And then I'd probably I'd look for a great GM, but I would stay out of it because I would just tell them, though, what my preferences would be. I'd like to see some offensive linemen. I'd like to see some. That's how Finks won.
Exactly.
Finks got Jimbo Covert, and from there it became easy.
Yep.
He was the first rookie. Listen to this. He's a rookie, and Dick Gagosier, my starter at left tackle, and nobody could beat him. What a draft pick!
How about that?
Because you know what? Finks never saw Dan Marino land on his ass at Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew who was his blocker.
Right.
And that was Jimbo Covert.
Yeah. I mean, you look at these draft picks, that's 4 offensive linemen. Lick, Albrecht, Van Horn, and Covert. And, so he really knew that you win the game in the trenches. Who else was in the first round? Other guys that played the trenches like Dan Hampton and Al Harris. Just a phenomenal judge of talent.
Could have had a Super Bowl ring. He's going to hold out. The Bears don't get enough credit there. You lose 2 starters and you replace them and you still win the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Are you crazy?
Todd Bell and Al Harris sat out the 1985 football season. Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
What are you doing?
No, seriously. If that was me, I mean, I'm questioning whether I'm in January. I'm just going to walk out to the end of Montrose Harbor and just, let the wind take me. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'm sitting out because you guys – He tried to hurt our chances. You don't hear their names brought up much. Those two guys tried to hurt our chances for selfishness reasons, and it blew up in their face.
It really did. It really did. T Project says, I'm curious, how good was Doug Buffon defensively alongside Butkus? I've seen some clips, but I'm still trying to get a sense of his true impact.
He was great. He was great, but overshadowed by the greatest defensive player, in my opinion, that ever played the game. You can argue Lawrence Taylor if you want. Middle linebacker, to me, was that's where the juice was. Mitchie, Lucci, Lanier. I mean, I can name them. Curtis. They were the stars of defense back in the day. Okay, the middle linebacker.
Right.
And we had the greatest. So Doug got overshadowed. You don't play 14 years if you can't play. And they were a wrecking crew, But Doug told me, he says, I knew every year there was no free agency. So you're stuck with the offense that you got. You think we got problems now? We win now.
Right.
I mean, you got to go through wait till they go through a 1-13 season. All these youngins under 30 years old. Good luck to you now. Next year's going to be tough.
Yeah, one of the great things about Doug is that he allowed Dick Butkus to freelance, because Doug was there to cover up whatever area.
Doug had his area.
Yeah,
but I don't think he allowed Butkus to do it. Butkus just said, hold him up for me."
Yeah, that's right.
Doug told me he'd grab a guy. He would hear Butkus say, "Hold him up, hold him up." He wanted to, and sometimes Doug said, "Man, the impact would hurt me." We had many conversations. He loved Butkus. Loved Butkus.
Yeah. Because
Butkus was part of Doug's legacy.
Yeah. And I'm just pissed off that Buffon is not in the Hall of Fame, that Buffon's name is rarely comes up as one of the great linebackers.
You know why? Because he beat up the Bears on radio.
Is that why you think?
He told the truth. They you think George McCaskey, I mean, they don't give, they're so now, they don't know that their sense of history is jaded. They don't know. If I sit down with Ted Phillips, he'll be sweating to death, and I'll go over the history of the Bears. I'll go over stuff he don't even know. And it's just been a devastating. Only he, as president of a team, would last this long, except for Mike Brown. See, if you got families like the Brown family and the Hallis family, and they run the show, and they like their loyal employees because they don't want anything ever coming out, and they trust them, you see that all over.
Right. A couple of quick questions from the chat room about front office. Mule says, what do you think about, well, this is it's a front office.
Mule Skinner.
Yeah, Mule Skinner. It says, would you trade up for Mac Jones, the quarterback from Alabama? Or, Mike, would you trade up for any of these top 5 quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft? Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is you can't touch him. The Jags are going to pick him at number 1. They won't entertain any offers.
Yes, I'd trade up for Mac.
You would?
I saw him play a couple games in the championship. I was astounded by his zip on the ball. But I was also knowing he had the greatest wide receiver in pro football. He had
a lot of great targets.
And like I told a guy today, and he had no argument for me. I go, Deshaun Watson finally played with the team that Mitch has been playing for and winning with for 3.5 years, and he wants out. So I just think that he'd be a good pickup, but I don't, if they were going to, I don't know. If they were going to offer all this for a guy and you really believe in Mac Jones or anybody else, move up. You got to move up. You got to do something. You can't keep Foles. You can't. You just can't.
I would let him walk.
With the guy making more money than the starter and eating up that and everything else. It's crazy. It was a mistake. Foles was supposed to be our new guy, our bridge. Now I hear Dalton was our bridge. It's crazy.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
A lot of talk about maybe bringing in Peyton Manning as a consultant. 4,000 Clovers likes the idea, see how he operates. But, he likes the idea. What do you think about bringing in the Hall of Fame quarterback Manning?
Why would he do that? Why would he come here? I don't know. That's just a rumor. That's just somebody making crap up. But maybe he would. But why, a consultant, maybe he wants to learn the ropes. I don't know. But if he wants to learn the ropes, what's he going to consult the Bears on? Quarterback play?
Picking a quarterback.
And making it GM.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, seriously, but John Elway started out good as a GM, and now it's gone into a disaster mode.
Mm-hmm.
So, the greatness doesn't usually, as you can talk to Michael Jordan about that, doesn't lend itself to championships, even though, and Charlotte just lost LaMelo Ball, so he's a hell of a player. So they got bad luck over there, but Michael Jordan's never won diddly as an owner.
Not a thing.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Bad.
I mean, and he made his money and he's an owner and everything else. But my God, he's been a disappointment as an owner. And if he tells you otherwise, he's lying.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The Factor says, Mike, what can fans do to change the way ownership has managed the team? Has there been a successful strike or protest against ownership in the last 50 years of mediocrity?
Oh, yeah. The Wanstat years, you had half the stadium that was empty.
Yeah, don't show up for games.
Don't show up. Right. If you don't want to do it, don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never paid for a Bear game. We snuck in all the time when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And then I only went to the New Soldier Field once. Okay. I'd rather go to Mars in a Saturn type of ship, a spaceship, than try to navigate to that place again. Oh my God. I mean, you know what? Even the space capsules back in the day, they'd land in the ocean.
That's right.
Okay? And they did, and the ships would come pick them up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm being told you need to walk 2 miles to Michigan Avenue to get a cab. Right, one of the 32 NFL football stadiums in America. It's unbelievable.
There you go.
What an eyesore that place is, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It is. Wow. Dented Fender says, what about bringing back Gary Fensick?
Well, I reached out to Gary not too long ago, left him a message. He's disappeared for the most part. Gary was a great analyst. He really was. And a great player. I really like Gary Fensick.
Yep.
I really do. Great player. He was Fensick. I mean, he hit like Plank, but he was a ball hawk. And that's what he was so good.
So smart, a team leader in that defensive backfield. We had on Doug Plank a couple of years ago here at the ballroom, and Doug said, why isn't Gary Fensick the vice president of the Chicago Bears? He's smart. He knows football. He's homegrown. He's a Chicago Bear guy. The Bears don't reach back into their pool of players to help manage the team, and Doug thought that was a big mistake.
I do too, and they don't have a lot of reach out to the former Bear players. I will say this: Doug Plank, me and my buddy went to Lake Forest, and the Bears used to have their facility there. They're that's where they practiced on 2 football fields, and I see this guy with a pair of shorts. It's before the season, preseason, walking down towards the locker room, archaic locker room. It was Lake Forest College, excuse me. Looked like a hippie, long blonde hair, Hawaiian shirt, shorts. And I watched you used to be able to go to the practices. So we watched a couple practices. I go to my buddy Johnny O'Malley, go, you see that guy? He's pretty good. I go, you think he'll make the team? Because he wasn't that tall. Then I saw him play. Oh, my God. You couldn't put the pride and joy of Ohio State. My God, what a player he was. Him and Fensick, 2 of the most, they were afraid to go over the middle, people. I mean, come on. Now it's nothing. You can't. They used to be able, before the ball went up, if you went across the middle, you could knock the crap out of them.
Yep.
Paint their route and everything.
He was great. He was indeed great. Mike, you got any picks for us today?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh,
I got one for every. I've been hot in hockey. Yeah. I don't even know if you play music anymore for me.
I think we are.
You can't hear you. The budget's gone down. Hold on. Let me go and see. The line went up before. Hold on. I'm going to give everybody a little insight to what I do. This is very difficult. Ready? NHL hockey odds.
Now, by the way, these picks are brought to you by Win Daily, WinDailySports.com.
About them. What great men. Jason. Great people. WinDailySports.com. Let me tell you about these guys. They've built the business like we built, Aldo's built, and we built Bears Barroom. And they're going about it meticulously like Aldo does. Working their butts off, making some good hires. and it's a successful operation. These guys got great cappers, great info. I do a Sirius XM show on on Saturday with them. I jump on from 4:15 to 4:30, and I also do a Twitter show with Michael Rizio, on Thursdays from 4 to 4:30. So we have a lot of fun. It's a great show. I tweet it out. Aldo tweets it out. Check it out. Win Daily. Go to windailysports.com and check out all the stuff that you have to check out. And also check out, if you can, at Win Daily for the follow. Now,
on Twitter, correct.
I got to do one more thing on here because I need this.
Yeah. You do that, and I will let
people... NHL propositions.
See, and he said that he doesn't use technology to make his picks.
NHL Bovada propositions.
I will let people know. Ben has a question about the movie, by the way, and I can tell people that the last time Mike and I talked about that, he was meeting with the filmmaker. Okay. And so there are plans to make.
We're going to do something special, Aldo and I. That's got something to do with the movie.
Exactly.
You know, we're haggling right now. We're going back and forth over the past month and a half. You know, Aldo's got his nose to. We're butting heads. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be doing something coming up. We're going to be doing something very special. That's going to be different than anything that's ever been done in the world of what this is going to be. And it's been endorsed by Adam Rifkin, the director. We have other people that are going to come on and endorse it for us. It's going to be a great thing. We're also going to have athletes endorse it, like Jimmy McMahon and other people, give us some sound bites to get this thing hyped up. But we're a couple of months away. I want to just say this too, that the movie's going to be great, but right now it's still in flux. I mean, they're trying to make new movies, but it's really hard. And for my movie, there's hugging. There's got to be stuff. I mean, and you can't do any of that stuff now. If you watch network TV now, Chas Palminteri told me they're wearing masks, and then they take the mask off. They're not allowed to touch each other. They're 6 feet away. There's no kissing, nothing. If you watch the stuff right now, so that sort of puts a crimp in things too. And besides COVID, the whole thing with COVID. So we'll see what happens now.
Hold on a second, Mike. I'm told that we lost our connection briefly here, and I'm asking people, is it back? It appears like it is. So go ahead.
All right. So I don't know. They probably missed it. How were we off for? About a second or two?
About 15 seconds.
Oh, that's no big deal then. Yeah. They didn't miss much because I babble. So yeah, the movie is going to be fantastic. And like I said, Aldo and I are going to be doing something very special. So looking forward to that. Vancouver. Hold on. Now we can't have any sound here. We got to I got to ask for this. This is very, very tough. This is very intricate. Yeah. And people don't realize how tough this is. So all right. Okay, here we go.
I'll be quiet.
Vancouver NHL game, NHL odds. Okay. All right. And tonight, Vancouver take the puck line +1.5. I got to just check one more thing because they kept changing the odds on me before I went on the air. Bovada, NHL proposition bets. This is beautiful. And this is how I get my lines. And then I look at how the lines go up. I go through Bovada. Here we go. It will be worth it, folks. We've been doing nothing but winning. And we're going to do it again. Vancouver Canucks +1.5. You got to lay 200 to lay 100 to win 100. So if you go $25 and you lose, you owe 50. Okay. It's always 200 to make 100. So in other words, if you want that puck and a half, which I needed last night for both games, and I won both. If you took them just like playing with the money line, you got beat on one of them. You take Vancouver +1.5 -$200 to win one. They don't want you to take it. That's why they're dissuading you from taking it. We will win next week. We'll be 10-6. Aldo, back to you.
There you go. I
5-minute delay on my odds.
So again, it's take Vancouver in the puck line, as you say, right?
1.5 minus $200, folks. And I'll have it on Twitter, and I'll tag it with Bears Bar Room and win daily.
There you go.
Back to you.
Well, and I've got a meeting coming up in about 15 minutes, so I've got to vamoose.
Let's get out of here. You're busy. You got all sorts. The White Sox show is good. The South Suburban Hitmen.
Yeah, South Burbs Hitmen. That's
South
right.
Suburban Hitmen. Then you got the new Bulls show.
That's right. Bulls 101.
To you guys, you and Badgley. I'd listen to you guys. Buffon. Are you kidding me?
We got it going good, and we got a new Blackhawk show.
There's radio stations, believe me, folks. There's radio stations don't have a lineup as good as we do.
Yeah, there you go.
Period.
All right, it is. I can't play the music for some reason because you didn't hear the opening music. It's not working. We'll figure out the bugs here, and we will say goodbye to everyone, and we will be back next week.
Love ya.